welcome. A huge hurdle awaits political aspirants, with NDLEA preparing to subject presidential hopeful to a drug test ahead of the 2023 general elections. Kogi Governor, Minister of State for Education lead the pack of aspirants to purchase forms at 100 million naira for the APC presidential primary. And all hope may not be lost on the Ajaokuta Steel Company as the federal government considers concessioning plan to revive the moribund steel plant.
On Business News tonight, 36 states of the Federation escape deductions as they share over 725 billion naira revenue allocation for the month of March.
On Sports News tonight, women's tennis world #1 Iga Swiatek withdraws from the Madrid Open with a shoulder injury.
And from Abuja, Nigeria Labour Congress takes a swipe at politicians over 3 months indefinite ASUU strike, accuses government of frustrating the lecturers. But Minister of Education, Emeka Nwajuba, appeals to ASUU to return to the classroom.
And in international news from London, the Russian energy giant Gazprom says it has cut gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria because of their refusal to pay in rubles.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is seeking the approval of political parties to subject political aspirants to a drugs test as part of the screening requirements for contestants ahead of the 2023 elections. Already, the NDLEA boss says he has written to the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Adamu, requesting that the officials of the NDLEA be given access to conduct a drugs integrity test. The proposition of the agency was stated by the chairman of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, at an award event in Abuja. Our correspondent, Kayla Megwa, reports.
It is the 2022 First Quarter Best Performing Commands Award at the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency headquarters in Abuja, and officers who've excelled in different areas of the agency are being awarded for their service. Done with the business of the day, the chairman goes on to insist on drug tests for everyone vying for elective position.
We have advocated and we continue to advocate that drug tests, integrity tests should be run by politicians. Some state governments, like Kano State, is already doing this. In fact, not just politicians, but government appointees. And I already have just sent off a letter this morning to the chairman of the APC. It will be the first of the national working committees that I wish to pay an advocacy visit on this score, that it should be included in the screening exercise.
When asked about the rumors that properties belonging to the embattled suspended DCP Abba Kyari in Maiduguri, Borno State, have been marked by the agency for investigation, Mr. Marwa did not name any suspects in particular. However, he did confirm that the agency does not allow convicted drug criminals enjoy their assets.
Most criminals are prepared to stay in jail as long as they will come back and meet the assets and enjoy them. It's for this purpose that as we prosecute criminals and those engaged in these nefarious activities, we also go after the assets. And I'm not speaking about any particular suspects. These are general mode of operation.
The chairman of the Nigeria Drug Law Enforcement Agency is certain that his war on drugs will yield results, discouraging users and traffickers alike. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
The All Progressives Congress is set to separate the wheat from the chaff as it begins sale of forms for all categories of aspirants on the platform of the party. And for the presidential form, the total package for the APC is 100 million naira. Today, the Governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, and the Minister of State for Education, Emeka Nwajoba, paid for their forms at the APC's National Secretariat. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, reports.
In 2019, the cost of obtaining the party's expression of interest and nomination forms for the presidential ticket was 45 million and 22.5 million for the governorship ticket. However, in 2022, just 4 years after, there has been an astronomical increase in the price of forms, as presidential aspirants will now pay 100 million naira, while governorship aspirants will part with 50 million naira. This increase in the cost of expression of interest and nomination forms have elicited reactions in the public space.
An incumbent president, it will take him an average of 8 years to be able to get that kind of money if it is statutory payments, salaries, allowances, and every other thing that the president will get for 8 good years. It is practically impossible for any credible Nigerian to be able to mop up such a very massive amount of money, even in the current days Nigeria where the naira has been bastardized.
Meanwhile, aspirants for the various positions have started collecting the forms on Wednesday. A coalition of youths across Nigeria purchased the presidential forms for the Minister of State for Education, Mr. Emeka Nwajoba. The governor of Kogi State follows suit, as well as governorship aspirants.
I accept to run for us all and to bear our party's flag into the elections and become our next president.
Consulting all party faithfuls, leaders, stalwarts, delegates, members, and even all Nigerians to give us a support.
All the aspirants together, we know that we want to go to government house, and we will work together. Whoever emerges at the end of the day, all of us are going to follow. All we want is to fight the imposition of candidates.
For some members of the party, particularly young people who are willing to contest the elections in 2023, they are weary of the consensus option of choosing candidates for the party. As they explain, it will be unfair to purchase the forms of the party at high costs and yet come around to then say they should step down for a consensus candidate. These are some of the issues that the party will be contending with in the build-up to the general elections. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
And more people are expressing their intention to participate in the presidential election on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. Today, the former governor of Ogun State, Ibikule Amosun, announced that he's joining the race. He made his intention known at plenary via a letter to the Senate, which was read on the floor by the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan. And another APC presidential aspirant and Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, took his consultations to Imo State, where he promised APC delegates that the rail system under construction will be linked with major cities in the southeastern part of Nigeria.
The campaign party of Minister of Transportation and APC presidential aspirant Rotimi Amechi is in Owerri, the Imo State capital, to meet with party delegates. The aspirant has come to share his plans for them and the nation if given the chance. The Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodimma, joins the party leaders and delegates from the 5 southeast states for the meeting.
The earlier we provide it with logistics, the better for all of us.
Addressing the gathering, Mr. Amechi informs them that he will ensure that the rail system, which is already in Owerri, will be extended to other capital cities in the southeast if he is elected as president in 2023.
It's not a problem. The problem is in Nnewi, and I'm struggling to get it to Nnewi, not because it's a different place. It is one of the growing industrial centers in Nigeria. The earlier we provide it with logistics, the better for all of us, because it will create employment.
He also promises to be humble, approachable and impartial, noting that everyone will be carried along in his government.
As governor of Rivers State, what you are currently facing here, I faced in Port Harcourt, and I dealt with it. And I overcame it. Be rest assured that if we are given this power, we will ensure that we will overcome this crisis by God's grace. I am a Nigerian candidate.
The Imo State Governor expresses confidence that the APC will win future elections, with emphasis on the unity within the APC in the region.
Is that there is a new spirit in the Southeast for our great party. Yes, sir. We've done all the necessary political engineering to rejuvenate our party into what it is today. APC Southeast is united. APC Southeast is one.
From the large turnout of delegates, there is optimism in the Amechi camp of support in the form of votes come election time.
And staying with politics, the Yoruba socio-cultural group Afenifere today maintained that the solution to the nation's problems lies in the quick restructuring of the nation. At a meeting held at the country home of the leader of the group, Pa Ayo Adebanjo in Ogun State, which was attended by some leaders and members of Afenifere from all the states in Yoruba land, the group states that Nigeria is facing huge security problems now threatening the stability of the country. The group also calls for a government of national unity, asking President Muhammadu Buhari to show more capacity in handling Nigeria's security and socio-economic problems. And the Sokoto State Senator and Deputy Minority Whip Senator Ibrahim Dambaba today defected from the opposition People's Democratic Party to the ruling All Progressives Congress. The lawmaker's decision to join the APC was conveyed in a letter read at the start of plenary by the Senate President. Senator Dambaba, who is also representing Sokoto South in the Upper House, became the Deputy Minority Whip in July 2021. His defection brings the total number of senators in the Upper House to 71 and the PDP 37. In part two, after the break, it's over 3 months since the ASU declares an indefinite strike. Nigeria Labour Congress is worried about the nation's education sector. That's in a moment. Do join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. A huge hurdle awaits political aspirants, with the NDLEA preparing to subject presidential hopefuls to a drugs test ahead of the 2023 general elections. Kogi Governor, Minister of State for Education, lead the pack of aspirants to purchase forms at 100 million naira for the APC presidential primary. Senator Ibikunle Amosun also declares to run for president today. All hope may not be lost on the Ajaokuta Steel Company as the federal government considers concessioning plant to revive the moribund steel plant. And Russian energy giant Gazprom cuts gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria over their refusal to pay in rubles. The Forum of Former Ministers on the platform of the People's Democratic Party has faulted Nigeria's leadership recruitment process over the years, insisting on the need for merit as Nigeria prepares for the 2023 general elections. At a meeting with the presidential aspirant and former secretary to the government of the Federation, Senator Anyim Pius Anyim in Abuja, the chairman of the forum says it'll interrogate all the contestants on the PDP platform for the sake of fielding the best candidate. According to him, Nigeria needs to get the leadership recruitment process right in order to solve most of her problems, which he says are caused by leadership failure.
It is a meeting of former ministers who served on the platform of the People's Democratic Party from 1999 to 2015. The former secretary to the government of the Federation, Senator Ayim Pius Ayim, is also attending the meeting. Mr. Ayim Pius Ayim is one of the People's Democratic Party presidential aspirants, and the attendants at this meeting are interested in what he has to offer Nigerians should he be elected.
It has become a tradition now for us that had operated at the highest level of governance in this country, having examined the situation of things in this country today, and our resolve that we must take more than a passing interest in what is happening in our country today. The greatest problem we've had in this country is leadership failure. It is because of this reason, therefore, that we said we must have an interactive discussion between us and some of the serious, and underline the words, some of the serious aspirants, serious presidential aspirants within our party.
17 aspirants contesting for one ticket is indeed a fierce competition. But the former secretary to the government of the Federation hopes that his previous role in government will make him stand out.
I held office as SGF, about which I worked with a number of us here. The SGF's office is the engine room. The ministers are the throttle that fires that engine. If we get the leadership recruitment right and recruit the right leadership, he will lead the country back to growth, back to prosperity, and back to stability.
The People's Democratic Party has scheduled to hold its primaries on May the 28th and 29th, where delegates will determine the fate of all those who aspire for the party's presidential tickets.
A member of the All Progressives Congress in Bayelsa State has been assassinated. Sunday, Frank Oputu was reportedly shot around 11:50 p.m. at his residence at Bay Bridge Road in Yenagoa. He's an indigene of the Bomoturu community in southern Ijo local government area. A statement issued by the police says gunmen scaled the fence and gained access to the residence of Honorable Frank Oputu and fired several shots at the Honorable through the window of his bedroom. The injured victim was rushed to the Federal Medical Center Yenagoa, where he was confirmed dead. The Commissioner of Police in Bayelsa State, Ben Nebodisa Okolo, has charged officers to intensify efforts to identify and arrest the perpetrators. He further reassures members of the public on the command's resolve to bring the culprits to book. To other stories where the Federal Executive Council has approved the engagement of transaction advisors for consultancy services for the concession of the Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited, as well as the National Iron Ore Mining Complex in Itakpe in the sum of 853.26 million naira, inclusive of 7.5% VAT. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, disclosed this at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Umezuke, reports.
Presiding over the Federal Executive Council meeting, the President immediately begins by swearing in 4 new permanent secretaries, including Mrs. Beatrice Jedi Agba, Kachalom Daju, Malam Shehu Ibrahim, and Dr. Mary Ogbe. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibaju, alongside 10 ministers, are physically present to witness the oath taken. The 4 decades-old Ajaokuta Steel project took prominence at the council meeting. Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Mines and Steel, the Information Minister, Lai Mohammed, announced an 853.2 million naira approval by the council towards reviving the Ajaokuta Steel project.
The council has approved the order of contract, not just for the Ajaokuta Steel complex, but also for the iron ore. When these 2 complexes, two plants, when they begin to function, then not only are we going to save a lot of money in terms of foreign exchange, but you're going to see a lot of industrial development and also technology transfer.
Although the consultancy approval comes 3 years after the president repledged commitment in Russia to revive the project, Mr. Mohammed maintains that it is not owing to the Russia-Ukraine war.
To the best of my knowledge, I went through this memo, and I think the consultants are all Nigerian companies.
The Federal Executive Council also approved an aggregate of 10 billion naira and $27.04 million towards the escalation of electricity supply in the country. But the question of how much hope and confidence would this give to Nigerians regarding power supply vis-a-vis the sabotage of national infrastructure?
There is hope if you look at the various interventions going in to the power sector.
In another move to optimize available energy resources in the country, the Council also approved a 2022 revised energy policy for Nigeria. From the Presidential Villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The Zamfara state government has dethroned 2 first-class emirs and a district head over what the state government describes as their involvement in armed banditry and other criminal activities. Briefing newsmen at the Government House Gusau after the State Executive Council meeting, the Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Dusara, says the Council approved their deposition and the immediate removal of the district head of Birnin Saba, Alhaji Sulaiman Ibrahim.
Council has approved the deposition of the emirs of Zurmi, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and that of Dansadau, Alhaji Hussein Umar. 2, the Council also approved the immediate removal of the district head of Birnin Saba, Alhaji Suleiman Ibrahim Inyadi. The Council equally approved the revocation of all land titles granted by the 2 emirs of Zurmi, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and that of Dansadau, Alhaji Hussein Umar. The Ministry of Justice is also directed to issue an executive order in this respect.
The governor of Bauchi State says he's shocked at the level of destruction carried out by warring communities in Gudum. 1 person was killed and over 20 houses burnt following the clashes. Governor Bala Mohammed visited the communities, appealing for calm and warning against the recurrence. In the meantime, the governor has imposed a curfew on Gudum communities to forestall further breakdown of law and order.
Nigerians, particularly those in the northern part of the country, have endured terrorist attacks for more than a decade, with massive casualties and utter destruction of properties. The National Assembly had passed a legislation to provide measures for the detection, prevention and prohibition of terrorism in the country. The Senate is now amending that legislation to also outlaw the collection of ransom by abductors and intermediaries for the release of victims, funds they say is often channeled towards terrorist attacks.
The proposed amendment, no doubt, will set standards and regulatory system intended to prevent terrorist groups from laundering money through the banking system and other financial networks.
It is amending Section 14 to state that a person who arranges and participates in an activity connected with a terrorist group, collects or provides logistics or information connected with an act of terrorism, solicits or renders support for a terrorist group or an act of terrorism, commits an offence and is liable on conviction to imprisonment for a term of not less than 20 years.
This is one bill, one piece of legislation that can turn around not only the security situation in Nigeria, but even the economic fortunes of our country.
The Senate also mourns the deaths of those killed by an explosion at the site of an illegal refinery in Abezi community, Ohagi Egbema local government area of Imo State, on Friday, April 22nd, 2022.
Many may argue, as they have said, that it was a business of bunkering. But, Mr. President, life is involved. It's also a clarion call on the federal government of Nigeria to take a second look about artisan modular refinery.
Illegal refining, again, at the moment, is causing a lot of damage to our country. So it's a very dicey situation, but we have to utilize the ingenuity of our citizens, those who are creative and innovative, but in a very much regulated way, so that we don't experience this kind of disasters.
The Senate thereafter adjourns plenary session till May 10, 2022 for the Salah break. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
We'll take another quick break now and more stories on the news at 10 when we return. Welcome back to the news at 10. Let's cross over to Abuja now. Here's Gloria Umezuke. Gloria.
Hello, Ijoma. In Abuja, the Minister of State for Education, Emeka Nwajuba, is making a strong appeal to striking university lecturers to consider the impact of their action on the students and call off the strike. He was speaking in Abuja today, where he raised concern about the prolonged industrial dispute between the two parties.
Pressure.
It is impractical and incongruous to continuously expect that somebody who is paid a salary continues to dictate to the person who pays him, this is how you must pay me. And this is where this anomaly is. We have pleaded with ASU that if there are any areas where your salary or any their shortfalls, kindly address them within the ambit of IPs, because that's what government has for now. We are not yet at the point where government takes a decision to convert to a different application. Since you've been earning salaries on these IPs, continue to earn the IPs while our children are in school. Why they have chosen to go on strike over this is something that neither you or I can explain. There is nothing that ASU wants that we have not agreed to. We would like them to return to classes so that students can go back to class. As the nation ends, we pay them. As the nation makes money, they will get money. What we don't want is for our children to miss the opportunity of their own time, because there is a time frame within which children must grow. The child cannot wait. It is important that ASU returns to class.
The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, is condemning what it calls the poor handling of the ongoing strike by university lecturers, describing it as most unfortunate. Speaking in Abuja today, President of the NLC, Mr. Ayuba Waba, wondered why those in authority are unable to implement agreement already reached with the Academic Staff Union of Teachers.
It is really unfortunate. People in our generation and in the generation of the current political elites actually benefited from free education, with bursary from primary to tertiary level. I can say that with nostalgia, that even me, that is under 55, I actually benefited from free education from primary to tertiary level. And on graduation, you are sure of a job. We got job without actually applying for it. But it is now unfortunate. For more than 3 months, the children of the poor are actually at home. And this is not acceptable. And instead of the politicians looking at this issue as a national disaster, people are just discussing the next cycle of election. Nobody is discussing about issues. Nobody is discussing about challenges. And nobody is discussing about how to make Nigeria a peaceful place. There is no way you can be able to have peace if the foundation is faulty, if there is no social justice. And social justice starts from making sure that the children of the poor get quality education. It was our Lord that said that once you deny the children of the poor quality education, and he knows that from the beginning, because that was the foundation of his political engagement, that the rich will not also sleep with their eyes closed. And we are seeing it today in the context of Nigeria.
Academic activities in public universities in Nigeria have been disrupted for at least 3 months following a warning strike embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, to press home its demands from the federal government. In this report, Channels Television examines the issues and the effect of the strike on the education system as both parties return to the negotiation table.
The patience of our members have been taxed beyond tolerable limit. NEC therefore resolved to embark on a 4-week rollover total and comprehensive strike beginning from Monday, 14th February 2020, which is today.
On February the 14th, St. Valentine's Day, the National Executive Council of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, announced a 1-month warning strike. On the expiration of the 4-week warning strike, it was extended by 2 months, against expectations of a full-scale indefinite strike. Academic activities have been grounded. Usual quietness takes center stage in campuses since the strike was activated in its chapters across universities in Nigeria. What more do you need to know about the details of ASU's demand? The payment of earned academic allowance, the replacement of the Integrated Personnel Payroll Information System with the University Transparency and Accountability System, improved funding of state universities, and funding for revitalization of public universities, among others.
The NIDA report is 1. The renegotiation is 2. These are 2 key things that they gave time limit to. And the time limit given to for these issues to us, we don't know why it should be so long, up to 3 months.
But government maintains that ASU's decision to prolong the industrial action is unwarranted.
No employee, no worker, by any principles at work. No employer dictates to your employer how to pay you. The important thing is for your salaries, remuneration, to be paid as and when due.
The industrial action is now in its 10th week. While the strike lasts, it's believed that representatives of the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government have been meeting to resolve contending issues. And it's expected that the truce will be reached before the extended warning strike expires.
Well, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State is optimistic that 3 road projects being constructed by the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) will soon be completed after several delays. The governor gave the assurance during a signing of a memorandum of understanding between the state government and the commission at the Government House in Owerri, the state capital. The governor said that the project is being actualized following the directive by President Muhammadu Buhari for the commission to complete all ongoing projects. Governor Uzodinma expressed a sense of fulfillment with the signing as efforts continue to deliver on development projects across the Niger Delta region.
The Imo State government receives the team from NDDC at Government House in Owerri. The visit is to discuss modalities of 3 major road projects in the state, which have been delayed due to security challenges. And it's straight to business as both teams put pen to paper for the Memorandum of Understanding. The MOU covers the dualization of Port Harcourt-Owerri, Avoada, Palm Etekwuru Road, Phase 1, in Ohajegbema local government area. Emergency repairs of failed and unmotorable section of Nkwere Umudi Sieke Nese Road, with drainage and Nkwere internal roads in Nkwere local government area, as well as the reconstruction and rehabilitation of Imirianwe Eche Road.
Today, he has decided to take off part of the funding. We awarded this project some years back, And because of issues, security-related issues, the expatriate had to pull out. And His Excellency said, no, there's no way we can allow this project that is of paramount importance to the people of this community, the people of the oil-producing. This road links to the oil-producing community in Imo State. You can see that we moved to Imo State freely today, courtesy of his hard work in Imo State. And he understands the security environment, and he has been able to bring peace to Imo State. And that is why I'm assuring you that this time around there will be no going back.
For Governor Hope Uzodimma, his desire to get the projects completed is driven by the need to bring about the much-desired development in the state.
And having seen the problem, we as a state government approached NDDC to partner with NDDC to ensure that this project takes off. You will see for yourself that the project has taken off, and the local contractor, who has the knowledge of the geography of this place, is also managing all community-related issues. And by the grace of God, the project will be completed within record time.
With the enthusiasm and commitment of both parties, the road projects are expected to be delivered within specified time. This is expected to boost economic activities in Imo State.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ijoma.
Hello, Gloria. Now, we're still keeping our eye on those expressing their intention to participate in the presidential election on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. Today, as we told you, the former governor of Ogun State, Ibikunle Amosu, announced that he's joining the race. Let's hear a bit more.
Of my intention to contest for the office of President of our dear country, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and to respectfully invite you and my distinguished colleagues to the formal declaration ceremony. I have been blessed by God to serve as Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria between 2003 and 2007, and as a two-term governor of Ogun State between 2011 and 2019. I've also had the privilege to be elected a second time to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2019, where I currently serve the good people of Ogun Central Senatorial District. My varied experience in private and public life has imbued me with the requisite insights, experiences, and network of relationships adequate to provide a leadership that will galvanize our dear country to achieve her manifest destiny as leader in Africa and of the black race.
A new certificate course has been unveiled at the School of Media and Communication, Pan Atlantic University, courtesy of MTN. The course, Media Innovation Program, targeted at media practitioners, is aimed at providing the requisite technology skills in an evolving media landscape. Our correspondent, Olu Phillips, reports.
The audience here is made up largely of journalists from the print, broadcast and digital media, others who do business with media practitioners, the telcos and ICT practitioners, and the academia.
What has been your experience been like with this?
Getting to the crux of the event, a gap has been identified, born out of research, engagements of media practice, and as part of MTN's shared value philosophy, and that need is about to be plugged. MTN has partnered with the School of Media and Communication of Pan Atlantic University to create a new program, Media Innovation Program.
A lot is happening in the media landscape. A lot needs to happen also in the media landscape. And therefore, the theme of our discussion today is on media innovation. It's a certified course run by the School of Media, thank you to the Dean, in Pan Atlantic University, with a focus on the convergence between ICT and the media. So how are all these technology changes actually converging with the media, and how can you use them to your advantage, understand how to leverage the technology to become better media practitioners?
It's not so much about being better today, but how today can leapfrog prospects to be prepared and accentuate the disruption that technology keeps bringing.
I think that the sort of training that we need to impart on individuals and organizations is the fact that both can coexist, but of course being driven by technology.
To apply, log on to www.smc.edu.ng/MTN-MIP.
The MIP is not about the death of a practice medium, but how technology can help your choice practice in the media.
We'll also learn from the media about the innovations that are coming in the technology space, about the telecommunications industry so the media can report accurately on it, and how we can use the confluence of those two things, media, reporting, journalism, and technology, to provide a better service that's relevant for the society of tomorrow.
And according to the sponsors, it's part of their sustained objective to share value with the larger society, and in this instance, the media practitioners, essentially to provide timely, accurate, and professional information for consumers across Nigeria.
The governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has declared wanted a governorship aspirant of the People's Democratic Party in the state, Farah Dagogo. Mr. Dagogo is a current member representing Degema Bonny Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. Governor Wike, in a statement, says Farah Dagogo is wanted for hiring cultists to attack the Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party in Port Harcourt, the state capital. But in a swift response, Mr. Dagogo has denied the allegation leveled against him by Governor Nyesom Wike. Mr. Dagogo, in a statement, says he was not anywhere near the Secretariat today because the screening for the day was for the National and State Assembly aspirants, adding that the governor took the decision to stop his screening as a governorship aspirant. Let's take a look at some business news. Now here's Anne Wilder.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma. Hello and welcome to Business News. A total of 725.57 billion naira. That's the amount being shared as Federation account revenue for the month of March to the federal, state and local government council areas. This is contained in a statement issued at the end of the virtual meeting of the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, which was held today. A summary of the revenue distribution shows that the federal government received 277.1 billion naira. The state government got 227.2 billion naira. Local government councils also received 167.91 billion naira, while 53.35 billion naira was shared with the relevant states as 13% derivation revenue. The amount of credit to Nigeria's government rose by 22.5% to 16.3 trillion naira in the first quarter of this year, up from 13.3 trillion naira in the fourth quarter. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria's latest money and credit data, credit to the government dominated the 4.2 trillion naira increase in credits to the company, which stands at 52.7 trillion naira, while credit to the private sector rose by 3.3% to 36.37 trillion naira within the period. And let's head to the market now. It remained in the green territory for the 12th consecutive session despite some sell pressure. Gains from Bois Cement as well as some consumer goods stocks lend support. Laddie Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the local bourse managed to escape the bite of profit taking today by a marginal 0.01% gain. With a mix of sell-offs and mild buy interest today, the activity chart is all red, with value of stocks traded far from yesterday's 7 billion naira, down about 66% today. Let's take a look at sectoral performance. Banking index took a beating today with 4 out of the 5 figures down, with Zenith Bank's share price the biggest downer amongst the figures. It lost about 2.62%. While the trio of flour mills, Presco, Guinness were the most significant contributors taking the consumer goods index up 0.68%. It was a negative market breadth with 17 stocks in the green, led by Academy Press for a second time this week, while Ikeja Hotel led 23 decliners. Well, it's a close shave today. Let's see how the market plays out for the 2 remaining sessions in the week. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Ladi Williams. It's back to you.
Thank you, Ladi. Let's find out how other markets fared at the close of business today. And that's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. It's back to you, Ijoma.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Russia's decision to halt Gazprom's gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria over their failure to pay in rubles has been denounced as blackmail by European Union leaders. For more on this and other international news, here's Simon Pusey with Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Russian energy giant Gazprom says it has cut gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria over their refusal to pay in rubles.
На газа от Газпром е грубо нарушение на техния договор.
The Bulgarian Prime Minister here saying Russia is using energy to try and blackmail countries supporting Ukraine. Kirill Petkov also described Gazprom's move as a grave breach of a current contract. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has meanwhile accused Russian special services of carrying out attacks in a breakaway region of Moldova. Authorities say explosions have hit radio masts and the State Security Service headquarters in the space of a day. In other news, Russia has sanctioned 287 MPs in the UK Parliament, accusing them of groundless whipping up of Russophobic hysteria. UK Foreign Secretary Liz Truss has now called for the UK and other Western powers to provide fighter jets for Ukraine.
For too long, there was a false distinction between defensive and offensive weapons. It became an excuse for some to drag their feet. That time has now passed. NATO allies are clear that we are delivering heavy weapons to Ukraine. That's what the Ukrainians need to halt the latest Russian initiative and regain control of their territory.
A court in Myanmar has found deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi guilty of corruption and sentenced her to 5 years in jail.
Regrettably,
the judge in the capital handed down the verdict within moments of the court convening. The case centres on allegations that Suu Kyi accepted 11.4 kilograms of gold and cash payments totalling $600,000 from former Yangon Chief Minister Pho Min Thien. The case was the first of 11 corruption charges against the Nobel laureate, each carrying a maximum prison sentence of 15 years. The French military has left a remote base in northern Mali with 100 vehicles forming a mile-long convoy across the barren desert terrain. Hundreds of troops in trucks and armoured cars have left the camp near the town of Gossi on a journey north to the city of Gao, which is 160 kilometres, but takes a day and a half of painstaking progress. There are currently 5,000 French troops in Mali and surrounding countries fighting groups such as Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. But over the past 8 years, the French presence has become increasingly unpopular with Mali's government and its public. Over 50 French soldiers have died in Mali since the start of the mission. Regional health officials say discarded explosives have maimed or killed scores of children in Afar in Ethiopia, even after major combat ended in December. Adults have also been wounded, but the officials say there are more child victims because they are often not aware of the dangers and handle the strange-looking items. Between December and late February, Afar's largest hospital received about 25 cases per week of injured children from unexploded ordnance or landmines. Flames and plumes of smoke continue to rise above a waste dump in New Delhi for a second day on Wednesday. The smoke is so acrid and thick that schools nearby have been forced to close. Delhi's Environment Minister said he had asked officials to investigate the fire at the Baiswar landfill site in the city's outskirts. Fires in Delhi's huge dump yards are not uncommon and contribute to the bad quality of the Indian capital, known to be the most polluted in the world. Elon Musk's rocket company SpaceX has launched 4 more astronauts into orbit en route to the International Space Station for NASA.
There they are.
The SpaceX launch vehicle consisted of 2-stage Falcon 9 rockets, topped with the crew's Dragon capsule dubbed Freedom. And it lifted off with its crew of 4 from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. The crew includes a medical doctor turned spacewalker and geologists specializing in Martian landslides. They will begin a 6-month science mission orbiting some 250 miles above the Earth. And finally, a rare violin made by Giuseppe Guarneri in 1736 and owned by the French violinist Regis Pasquier will be auctioned in Paris after a short exhibition period. The flamed maple-backed violin is one of only approximately 150 made by Guarneri, whose output was relatively limited. Crafted at the height of Guarneri's career, it was bought by Pasquier more than 20 years ago. Pasquier chose it from over a dozen violins and played it without practicing because for him this instrument was perfect as he didn't need to practice. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Liverpool took a giant stride towards another Champions League final with a commanding 2-0 victory over Villarreal at Anfield. While the second leg in Villarreal is still to come next Tuesday, but Liverpool now look firmly on course to meet either Manchester City or Real Madrid in the final in Paris in May. A world number 1 Iga Swiatek has pulled out of the Madrid Open, where she was due to be top seed in the Spanish capital after suffering a shoulder injury. And that's sports news.
Thanks a lot, Ayotunde. And the main news again. The Kogi Governor and Minister of State for Education today led the pack of aspirants to purchase forms at 100 million naira for the APC presidential primary. Former Governor of Ogun State, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, also declared to run for president today. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks a lot for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Hunyato. Good night.